Happy New Year, folks! 2018 has finally come to an end, and like I usually do at the end of, well, all the years that I've been doing YouTube at least, I'm gonna count down my 10 favourite movies of the year. Also, just to let you know, this is surprisingly my opinion, and also ratings do not contribute to the list, like, at all. I saw a lot of movies this year. Some I reviewed, some I didn't, some of them weren't so good, and some of them were pretty good. But that doesn't mean every single one of them is gonna make the list, though. Movies like Bohemian Rhapsody, Incredibles 2, Hereditary, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Ready Player One, and Black Panther. All movies that I really liked, but the fact is there are 10 movies I like more. So now it's time for the juicy part of the video. Number 10 is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. This movie is basically 6 short films that are all set in the post-Civil War 19th century era to make an anthology of stories that somehow manages to be insanely dark at points but also strangely hilarious. Every story in this movie is filled to the brim with dry humor and unpredictable storylines, and each of the 6 stories in this anthology are entertaining and unbelievably complex in terms of story, characterization, and the themes it deals with. Also, on a side note, this movie has one of the greatest opening sequences I have ever seen. Period. Number 9 is Annihilation. I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I have only seen this movie once. The reason I even put it on the list beyond the fact that it's a really good sci-fi flick is because it actually encourages film discourse. Alex Garland crafted this movie in a way that would get people talking, and I love it when movies do that. Yeah, I'll admit, I do think it has a couple of narrative issues, but I was mostly enthralled by this movie. I love movies that feel like they're on a different form of filmmaking, like they're on a new level. It's a movie that's not afraid to go to the next level. It's a movie that will scare you. It's a movie that will compel you, but most of all, it's a movie that will make you ask questions. Not just because of the mystery surrounding the plot, its characters, and how things pan out, but it's also a movie that will make you question your interpretation of what it's even trying to say. Number 8, Aquaman. DC hit a hell of a home run with Aquaman. It is a huge, beautiful cheeseball of a movie, and I freaking loved it. It feels like an 80s cartoon with tons of yelling, testosterone, macho, muscly stuff. Sure, I can understand why someone would hate this movie, but for me, this was a movie that was consistently entertaining from start to finish, and similar to Annihilation in a sense, it doesn't hold back. It's exactly what you'd expect an Aquaman movie starring Jason Momoa directed by James Wan to be like. And boy oh boy do I wish I had Jason Momoa's hair. Number 7 goes to Bumblebee. Bumblebee is the Transformers movie we have been waiting for. It only took 4 terrible movies to get here, but they finally listened. I'd say out of all the movies I saw this year, this was the one that surprised me the most in terms of how good it was, and I'm not just saying that because it brought me close to a nerdgasm, although that is part of the reason, but also because I found myself resonating with the characters and really enjoying the overall story being about friendship and finding your place in the world. It's also got good humor, kick-ass action, and a heartwarming tale of friendship. As a movie, it's awesome. By Transformers movie standards, this is fantastic. Number 6 goes to A Star Is Born. This movie brought me close to tears. It's an emotional love story that also just so happens to be about excesses, the downside of being famous, as well as the upside. I did not know that Lady Gaga could act this good. Seriously, she gave one of the best performances of the entire year, and so did Bradley Cooper. And I didn't even see it coming. Point is, it's a very emotional movie with a strong romance with an ending that is the ultimate punch in the gut. I mean, what else can I say? It's well made, well paced, and as I've said, really emotional. That and the music is awesome. Number 5 goes to Creed 2. There were times where me and my brother were watching this movie and basically shaking on the brink of sweating our asses off. It was so intense. The fight scenes in this movie are some of the best fight scenes I have ever seen. Creed 2 also did a great job at fleshing out the characters more, mainly Adonis and Rocky. The villains, that being Ivan and Victor Drago, were arguably better than the villain in the first movie, partly because they were genuinely terrifying, but also because they were really interesting characters at the same time. Plus, that training montage is the stuff of epicness. The energy throughout this movie, in fact, particularly in the final fight, took me back to when I watched the first movie because of how inspiring and emotional it was. Me and my brother left the cinema with huge grins on our faces, and it gave me pretty much everything I wanted. Number 4, A Quiet Place. Yeah, so I convinced my mom to come see this movie with me thinking it wouldn't be that scary, and you know the rest. A Quiet Place is definitely the most unique and inventive horror movie I saw this year. I loved how 80% of the dialogue was spoken through sign language because it brought a whole new dynamic to the story, characters, and performances, as well as the fact that it added a whole new layer of tension. I also loved how it was basically about a family trying to survive in a world where they can't even make a sound, and how this scenario affected the relationship between the family members. It has a ton of sequences that were so intense that I'm pretty sure my heart skipped a couple of beats. Also, the characters in this movie have to be the smartest people I've ever seen in a horror movie, and despite its small budget, the effects are crazy good. It took a simple idea and executed it perfectly. Without a doubt, my favorite horror movie of the year. Number 3, Mission Impossible Fallout. This movie is hands down one of the best action movies ever made. The stunts were incredible, the choreography in the hand-to-hand combat scenes was breathtaking, the car chases were epic, and oh, it's so awesome! It's got tons of funny moments, gorgeous locations and settings, a great villain, and great music to top it all off. There are so many memorable moments like the helicopter chase or the bathroom fight or literally any of the unmasking scenes. There is literally no dull moments in this movie, and that's largely due to basically everything I just mentioned, as well as insane writing, great pacing, and charming and charismatic performances from Tom Cruise and co. It's a dang good time. But now, let us all just take a moment to gaze upon the gloriousness of the almighty Tash. Glorious. Number 2, Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse. Even if this movie had a bad story, it would still be praised for its animation, cause hot dang, this animation is beautiful! It feels like a comic book literally come to life, and the attention to detail is insane. The characters, the pacing, action, heart, the humor, the freaking voice acting, it's all great. There's literally nothing bad I can say about this movie. But the best thing about it is that it understands the character of Spider-Man, and Peter Parker isn't even the main character. It understands that anyone can wear the mask and still be Spider-Man. Spider-Verse also gets bonus points for being a movie that literally anyone can enjoy. Kids, teens, adults, you name it. I actually feel like a total dumbass for even thinking of the small chance that Sony were gonna mess this movie up somehow. But this is one of the many times I'm actually glad to be wrong. It's not just a great Spider-Man movie, it's a great movie. Number 1, Avengers Infinity War. I know, typical nerd putting the biggest superhero movie ever in the top spot. But whatever, this is my top 10, so I can do whatever I want. Ha! I'm a big MCU fanboy, and this is the epic combination of the universe that I've been following forever. And you know what? It was pretty freaking ridiculously, spectacularly, stunningly, mind-blowingly, epically awesome! I've seen this movie a bunch of times throughout the year, and each time I've loved it just as much as the previous time I watched it. It was great to see so many characters from different corners of the MCU finally coming together whilst having their character arcs come full circle in interesting and satisfying ways. Themes and plot lines were all brought together naturally, all while being funny, exciting, and emotional all at the same time. It has some of the best moments in the MCU, some of the best action, and an ending that genuinely surprised most people, including me. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but kids, if you haven't seen this movie yet, then prepare to be scarred for life. You're welcome. I can't even begin to imagine how hard it was to even make this movie passable, but they more than pulled it off. Avengers Infinity War, to no surprise at all, is my favourite movie of 2018. So those were my favourite movies of the year. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and I will indeed see you guys in the next one. But before I go, I would just like to ask you guys, what are your favourite movies of 2018? Do we have similar opinions, or do you completely disagree with me? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and once again, thanks for watching. See you around.